think that the team around him is maybe the best he's had?
Jared Kushner says he is not needed on his father-in-law's presidential campaign and will not join another Trump administration.
So is that a no? If he calls you on November whatever and says, I'd like to come back to see you, say, thanks, but I'm good?
Yes.
But Kushner's effort to create some separation with Donald Trump is not stopping a growing scandal.
Jared Kushner's multi-billion-dollar investment firm could be facing serious conflicts of interest if his father-in-law retakes the White House. The New York Times reports that 99% of the money placed with him by investors has come from foreign sources.
And now, making matters worse, Kushner's fund has reaped millions in fees, but so far returned no profits. As The Guardian reports, a private equity firm owned by Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law, has been paid $157 million in fees since 2021 without returning any profit to investors, according to a U.S. Senate inquiry. The finding from the Senate Finance Committee has fueled suspicions that the Miami-based company Affinity Partners may be a foreign influence buying operation established in anticipation of the former president returning to the White House.
Jared Kushner's multi-billion dollar, he had no experience investing a single dollar.
That's right. When Jared Kushner started his private equity firm in 2021, he had never run or been part of such an asset or money management firm before. But Kushner had become friends and apparently texting buddies with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. You may remember MBS. Bin Salman was allegedly the guy who ordered the execution and bone saw dismemberment of an American citizen, Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, because Khashoggi had repeatedly criticized bin Salman. Well, that bit of violence did not stop the Trump administration and Kushner from a cozy friendship with the Saudi royal family. And Kushner kept working his relationship with Mohammed bin Salman right up until the final days of the Trump White House. In fact, on January 6, 2021, the very day Trump and his followers were trying to block the congressional certification of President-elect Joe Biden, records show Kushner was returning to Washington, D.C. that day from a visit to Saudi Arabia. Why was Kushner in Saudi Arabia 2 weeks before the end of the Trump presidency? Was Kushner doing official foreign policy up to the very last minute? Or was Jared Kushner using the connections he fostered in the Trump White House to help enrich himself? Well, it worked, because a few months after the Saudi visit, the Saudi royal family invested $2 billion in Kushner's new private equity firm. As the New York Times reported in a story headline, before giving billions to Jared Kushner, Saudi investment fund had big doubts. Quote, a panel that screens investments for the main Saudi sovereign wealth fund cited concerns about the proposed deal. The concerns included the inexperience of Affinity Management, that's Jared Kushner, the possibility the kingdom would be responsible for the bulk of the investment and risk. Also, due diligence on the fledgling firm's operations found them unsatisfactory in all aspects, and a proposed asset management fee that seems excessive. But the full Saudi board, led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, overruled the panel. So Jared Kushner got the $2 billion. And now, a few years later, as his father-in-law is running again for president, Kushner has collected over $150 million in fees for his firm, even though records show Kushner's firm has not made a dime in profit for Saudi Arabia or any other investors. What has Kushner been doing with the money? Putting it under a mattress? Keep in mind, if Jared Kushner had simply taken the $2 billion and invested it in a diversified stock fund at, say, the New York Stock Exchange, and then left it alone, the value would have gone up 10% in 2 years. In other words, Kushner would have made $200 million for his firm investors. But Kushner has made nothing for them, just a lot of money in fees for himself, while apparently taking investor money, investing in real estate, and getting no return. Remarkable. But don't look for the Saudis or any other foreign investors to be very upset. After all, they now have their hooks in Jared Kushner and a direct line to Donald Trump if Trump returns to the White House. And that's a problem because it is a conflict of interest. And even the leading House Oversight Committee Republican James Comer said last year that the Kushner arrangement raised all sorts of red flags.
Look, and I've been vocal that I think that what Kushner did crossed the line of ethics. But what Christie said, it happened after he left office. Still no excuse, Jake, but it happened after he left office. And Jared Kushner actually has a legitimate business.
A legitimate business that has made no money for its investors. So now what? The U.S. Senate Finance Committee says it is stepping up its inquiry into Kushner's firm, and Kushner is reportedly trying to delay and slow down the probe. I wonder why. Oh, that's right, the November election. In a real democracy, the Kushner-Trump controversy would end the Trump presidential campaign. Voters would see Jared Kushner and his family as a clear national security threat, as a bunch of grifters who only care about enriching themselves and would do so at the expense of the U.S. government and the prestige of U.S. foreign policy. There are some reports the Trump campaign is already freaked out about the Jared Kushner controversy and fear that the foreign influence peddling scandal could be the sort of October surprise that puts a final nail in Donald Trump's campaign coffin. One can only hope, because this is a reminder that like father, like son-in-law, the Trump family is arguably rotten to the core, and no amount of distance that Jared Kushner and Donald Trump claim to have with each other now can take away the stench. By the way, some former Trump White House staffers are now blasting Donald Trump's recent campaign message to women.
It's very infantilizing, talking about women as though we're weak, we're meek, we need a protector, we need a defender.
On CNN, Alyssa Farah Griffin ripped her former boss Donald Trump over this.
I make this statement to the great women of our country. You will be protected and I will be your protector. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion. So all they talk about abortion.
We just sit around thinking about abortions all day. It just underscores a fundamental lack of understanding for why a demographic that represents half of the country is one that he is struggling so profoundly with.
You will no longer have anxiety from all of the problems our country has today. You will be protected, and I will be your protector.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Susan Koch, who wrote, I find it very creepy and disgusting that an adjudicated rapist would vow to protect women. I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and a foreign influence peddling scandal that keeps getting worse. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.